Hello, everyone. This is Matt Schlapp, and welcome to another episode of CPAC Live. Thank God it's Friday. In the Schlapp household, all the days seem to have run together. We don't know what's the difference between one day and the other. We don't even know the difference on Sunday because we've literally been barred from going to church, as so many of you have. The great news for all of you who come to us from red states and warmer states is you guys are open. And the governor of Virginia wants to keep the Commonwealth locked down. We're giving serious thought to getting an RV and moving to a place where we can actually do things again. I think my family loves each other, and there's been some good aspects to this. But I think, to quote my wife, basta. We've had enough. It's time to get the wheels of the economy moving and the world open again. And we're really excited to be joined today by two really great guests. We're going to have Diamond and Silk on, and we're going to have Byron York, who's with us from the Washington Examiner, who's the author of Byron York's Daily Memo. Byron, thanks for being with us.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. And look, I want to say, in the world of journalism, which is what I consider you, not as a negative thing, but as a positive thing, a real journalist. I think it's a damn shame that people like you aren't up on award stages getting awards for breaking so much news over the course of the last 4 years. You've really kind of called it straight, but unfortunately, calling it straight under the Trump era has meant a pretty damning indictment of the Obama years.
Well, there weren't that many people looking at what the Obama administration was doing, the law enforcement and intelligence agencies were doing to target Donald Trump in his campaign and in the transition. There weren't a whole lot of them, but they turned out to be right. And the amazing thing is that the president took office more than 3 years ago, and we're still learning about what was taking place around that time, because so much of it has been kept under wraps until today, and you have to figure a lot of it's still under wraps. But now there is a lot of talk about this thing called Obamagate, and the simplest way to say it, I think, is back when we were first learning about what those intelligence and law enforcement agencies were doing to target the Trump campaign, back when we were learning that in 2017, a lot of people asked, what did President Obama know? Did he know about it? Was it done without his knowledge? Did he direct it? What did he know? And we had no answer to that question. We kept learning, for example, that knowledge about the dossier seemed to go higher and higher and higher in the FBI, but we didn't really know what did the president know. Now we're finally finding out that actually he knew a lot.
So let me ask you a question here. Susan Rice is directed. Susan Rice, Obama's national security advisor, is directed by the Obama White House counsel to do a memo to self on her email on the last day of the Obama administration. Why did the lawyer want to have this as a written record?
That's a great question. We don't know the answer to that, although we know lawyers are careful and they try to get their ducks in a row. And if they're worried about investigations in the future, if they think maybe something wrong went on, they want to get all the evidence in one place. Other than that,
in other words, Byron, use the right words that make something odious maybe sound innocuous.
Yeah, I think, look, there were some really funky things going on during the transition. We know about that. We know the reason Susan Rice wrote this memo. And by the way, did you know that memo was time-stamped at 12:15:33? That is 15 minutes and 33 seconds into the Trump administration. So wow. right at that very time, she's writing this up. But we knew the memo was about a meeting that had occurred 15 days earlier on January 5th. And that was when all of the intelligence chiefs go to the Oval Office. They're going to brief President Obama on the results of what was called the Intelligence Community Assessment, which was their investigation into Russian efforts to interfere in the election. So they have this meeting, they have this briefing, and President Obama then asked everybody to leave, but he asked a few people to stay. Susan Rice was already there. Vice President Joe Biden was already there, and he asked Sally Yates of the Justice Department and James Comey of the FBI to stay. And that's when we know now that President Obama began to talk about the Michael Flynn wiretap and what had gone on in this conversation between Flynn and the Russian ambassador. So that was the first time we learned that President Obama even knew about that.
You'd almost have to surmise, especially when you see all these unmaskings, that there was a desire to go back to the president and feed him information. But what I thought was most interesting about Susan Rice's memo to the historical record, and bully for them for not deleting this one. They did, Hillary Clinton deleted 30,000 some other ones. This is why you should not, and it's illegal to delete these things. But
they classified parts of it that shouldn't have been classified. They did do that.
That's right. Well, and as we know, sometimes they use the classified designation to prevent something that's embarrassing from coming out.
Correct.
But let's get right to this. And unfortunately, that continued into the Trump administration with some of his appointees not allowing these documents to come forward earlier. But let's get specific to this. Obama says he wants the criminal investigation, right, to go by the book. And she says that at least once in the email. She never says. 2 times. She never says that about the counterterrorism investigation. Isn't that weird that he didn't want both to go by the book?
It is really odd. By the way, she said it 3 times in the memo, which has a sort of protest too much quality to it. Why are you saying all of these times that the president insisted that he wanted?
How else would you do an investigation but by the book? I mean, it seems crazy to even say this is America with a constitution.
Well, look, they were discussing. First of all, the new administration was coming in, right? There were designated people like Michael Flynn, who is the incoming national security advisor. And what happens in a transition is that the outgoing officials brief the incoming officials about what's going on in their area of responsibility. So for Michael Flynn, it would be basically brief him on what's going on in the world, what's going on with China, what's going on with Russia, what's going on with Venezuela, etc. And they were discussing withholding information about Russia from Michael Flynn because they believed he was a Russian agent. And apparently their proof for this was that he had spoken to the Russian ambassador on the telephone on December 29th. And there was absolutely nothing wrong with that. Incoming national security advisors during a transition will speak to foreign officials saying, okay, we'll be in office in 3 weeks. We'll see you then. We'll take a look at this. We'll reconsider this, whatever. That's what happens when administrations change.
So, but let's get to the Obama desire to do this counterterrorism investigation to try to, which they do only for presidents, right? Which has been reiterated by everybody who's had these jobs. That's something that the president really asks for. It's not about committing a domestic crime. It's more about our national security, right? And even James Comey has said that. But why was he so intent in trying to pursue this investigation against, I'll say, Team Trump, when now other documents have come forward that says Sally Yates, Susan Rice, Clapper, Brennan, there was actually no evidence at any time that anybody was a Russian agent.
Well, when you bring up this whole idea of counterintelligence investigations, remember, the FBI had a counterintelligence investigation on the Trump campaign since at least July 31, 2016. So when this meeting happens in January 2017, that investigation has been going on for quite a while. Remember all the talk we did about Carter Page and the wiretap? That had been October 2016. So there had been a counterintelligence investigation on the Trump campaign for a long time. And these new revelations don't tell us what President Obama knew about that because, of course, he was president this whole time.
But Byron, and thank you for correcting me on the exact term for the investigation. Am I right, and have the reporters who have also been writing this correct, that is done on behalf of the White House? That is not done necessarily because a domestic crime has been triggered. It's because you have a larger question of national security. For the President of the United States to not know about that
Right.
counterintelligence investigation would be quite odd.
Yeah, no, what you're saying is this distinction between a counterintelligence investigation and a criminal investigation. You're absolutely right. A counterintelligence investigation is done for the purpose of national security. There is something funky going on with some foreign agent in the United States or something that we need to know about. It is not directed toward let's build a criminal case against this person and then indict him and then send him to jail. It's for the intelligence purposes of the United States, and all of our intelligence agencies are ultimately gathering information to be presented to the president. So you're absolutely right about that.
Byron, I've talked to people in the administration I've served in who have described unmaskings, which is making political appointees aware of Americans, people here in America legally, their identity in the source of a private conversation, making that more public was an unusual thing at the highest levels of government, a more rudimentary thing for intelligence agents and associates who do the actual spying and listening in to a large degree, because, you know, America is on the case to try to make sure that we're not being corrupted and people who want to destroy America aren't infiltrating. But to pass that up the food chain to presidents, vice presidents, et cetera, is more of an unusual step, which you have to have a high bar for.
Yeah.
This is 49 just in the documents that were released. Other people are saying thousands and thousands of unmaskings by dozens of high-ranking Obama officials. Is that truly ahistorical and troubling?
As far as we know, it is. And you have to remember, they are targeting the incoming administration that's about to succeed them. And we don't know how, for example, this Flynn wiretap happened. We're still not sure about how it came about. But we do know that these officials, dozens of them, requested information that led to Michael Flynn throughout the month of December and early January 2017. And a lot of it, by the way, was before this phone call. So they were looking into everything that they were spying on the new administration. And I'll tell you, I think the reason why is clearly Donald Trump was going to change the policies of Barack Obama. That's what a new president can do. They often get elected for the purpose of changing the policies on this or that. And I think the Obama administration officials were so offended by the idea of coming in and undoing what President Obama had done that they were very open to theories that, well, they must be undoing it because they're Russian agents. They must be doing it because they have some sort of foreign influence rather than simply a different view of foreign policy than we, the Obama team, have.
Byron York, thank you for your just competent explanation and journeyman journalistic skills throughout the last 4 years. It creates some sanity in the minds of Americans who maybe even aren't that partisan, but they just want to know what's going on. And so we really applaud you. We thank you for being a friend and ally of our CPAC family. Thanks for joining us on CPAC Live. We have a short video to show you, and then we are going to be joined by the great Diamond in Silk. We'll be right back at you.
She was really mean to Mini Mike. I'll tell you, the way she treated her. He didn't know what hit him. He's going, oh, get me off of this stage. Get me off. Get me off of this stage.
What a great video clip that was. And now we are joined by the fairly unique and wonderful and great friends of CPAC, Diamond in Silk. How are you all doing?
Oh, we're doing wonderful.
Magnificent.
We hope you're doing well.
We're doing great. And I tell you what, this has been a rough time for so many of us, but I'll just speak personally. You know, ever since all the media attacked CPAC and tried to almost make it seem like we caused an outbreak of Chinese corona, when one person came to CPAC and we disclosed that, we did all the right and responsible things, They demanded to know the name of that patient, and they pounded us. You know, my family and I, we've been basically in quarantine since CPAC. And you know what, Diamond and Silk? We're ready to bust loose.
I know.
Yes.
You know
The
what?
whole
Let me
country
just say
is.
this here. Thank you so much for your transparency. We
Yeah.
also ended up in those articles. And we, you know, whenever it's a lie, whenever it's allegations and accusations without accurate information, we look at that as fake news. So we tend to just tune it out. But thank you for your transparency as to CPAC and the things that happen.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. And yes, we're all in quarantine. We're all ready to break out. We're ready to get back to work, and we're
Yes.
ready to move our country forward.
And speaking of the Wuhan Chinese virus, whatever you want to call it, we need to talk about where it came from, how it originated, who concealed it, who didn't reveal it. That's what we really need to be concerned about. What happened to cause it to even get here and be here? And why didn't China do anything about it? We need to have that particular type of conversation about this thing.
And not only that conversation, Silk, we also need to look at our members of Congress.
Yeah.
Those in the Democrat Party, those in the media that don't want to hold China accountable, but they want to investigate the president of the United States and his handling on this pandemic.
Right.
Now, let us just say that I really appreciate how the president handled this pandemic.
Yes.
He closed off our borders to China to protect our country. He was deemed a racist for doing that, for protecting the American people.
Yeah.
Democrats didn't want to protect. You had, who was that? Nancy Pelosi in Chinatown in San Francisco, telling people to come out.
How ironic was that on that very day, and she's standing in Chinatown. And, you know, at CPAC, we had this theme, America versus socialism. That was the theme. That was the banner under which you spoke. It really is America versus this communist menace.
Yes.
Absolutely. When we look at our country being in quarantine and the president saying it's okay, it's time to open back up the country.
Yeah.
And you look at some of these states, especially these Democrat-ran states that's ran by Democrat governors that don't want to open up this state. When I look at that, it just lets me know this is a little bit bigger than COVID-19.
That's right.
Yes, COVID-19 do exist. Things are happening, but there's other things political that's happening as well.
They're trying to grab our president and this vigorous economy down by its ankles, and it's unfortunate. Now, I think I've got to get your reaction to breaking news.
Okay.
Joe Biden today says, if you have this is a quote, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. Do you have a reaction to that?
Well, first of all, when I hear Joe Biden speak, his words echo the sentiments of racism and almost bigotry.
Yeah.
You know, and I know they want to let Joe be Joe. I say let him be Joe too, because it ain't going to be long before he used the N-word openly.
Yeah.
And we get to see who Joe is.
That's right.
Period.
And I think it's an insult to black people. You know, even though I'm a black woman, I have my own mind. I can think for myself. And just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. And we are tired of people like Jim Crow Joe trying to tell black people who we need to vote for. Listen, you have the black community that's been voting for the Democrat Party for years and years upon years. And a lot of them are still stuck in the same rut, living in shacks with rats, even though there's millions and billions of dollars that is allocated to those communities, to the black community. You have different government officials that don't even have enough common sense to buy decon poison to kill the rats within the community.
That's right. And so we need to really look at this. Black America needs to wake up.
Wake up.
We're not their commodity.
That's
okay?
right.
They're trying to use black people as if they are a commodity where they can be bought and sold.
That's right.
We're not their commodity. We don't have a love fest.
That's right.
We can make up our own minds. And we don't have to vote for Jim Crow Joe. We don't have to vote for him. We can vote for whoever we want to vote for. And I think all black people should look at this as an insult. He's automatically saying you better vote for me, or that means you're not black.
Right. You don't own us.
That means I guess in other words, you can't go to the barbecue. It's probably, that's what it sounded like he was saying to me.
But what he needs to understand is we're red, white, and blue.
That's right.
That's who we are.
And we are Americans first. And so drop the race color.
That's right.
And that's what's happening here in our country.
Yeah.
You have the Democrat Party that automatically assume that because you're black, you're supposed to vote for them. But this time, if you vote for them, you voting against your own interest. If you look at what's happening now, this is socialism versus capitalism that we're going through right now.
That's
you
right.
got to make a choice on whether you want to be free or whether you want to be a slave in this country.
That's
Because
right.
when you look at these Democrat governors and a lot of these Democrats that's pushing this China propaganda, they are not American. They are not for America. They are for China. They're for illegal aliens. Not for us.
And look at Jim Crow Joe's record.
That's
that
right.
1994 crime bill. That's what he pushed. Okay, that darn near decimated the black community. That's what he pushed for us black people.
Not only that, and the video is surfacing out there, unless Google done took it down. When he referred to black people using the N-word in the Senate.
That's right.
Yeah, people better wake up.
That's right.
Now Jim's somewhere hiding in the basement during this pandemic. You have our president out with the weight of the world on his shoulders.
That's right.
But he's still handling things. But where's Jim Crow Joe? He think he gonna win this election in the basement? I beg to differ. No, you're not. We gonna use your records. You've been in government for almost half a century. You name me one thing that you've done for black folks, and you think black folks are supposed to vote for you? Oh, absolutely not.
Even down the back in the day.
Yes.
Well, he just said the two of you are black, so it's a very interesting conversation. And you know, the thing is, where Joe Biden is doing these online town halls, you know, answering fake video questions and all the rest, he's doing it from Hunter Biden's former rec room, which I find very ironic. I also wonder why he hasn't gone to Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live to try to see how you actually really communicate.
Maybe he have, maybe he haven't.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I find it ironic that he's in Hunter Biden's rec room doing video. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. Listen, let me tell you something. Joe Biden, you all, ain't gonna do not one thing for this country. Not one.
Nope.
Because why haven't you already done it? You want us to give you a chance and give you 4 years to do what? Nothing? You won't even be running nothing. He can't even take a consonant and put it with a vowel to form a word, much less a sentence.
That's right.
And we want him to be president? Absolutely not.
We don't want nobody like that with their hand on a button.
That's right.
No.
He may think it's what you call that kind of button that you push, the life call button.
That's right.
You see what I'm talking about?
He's falling and he can't get up.
That's right. No. Joe Biden, he can stay in the basement.
That's right.
He can run whatever he wants to in the basement, but he won't be. He can run, but he won't be able to hide his record.
That's right.
Because we're gonna fight him tooth and nail on it. He the one said he reached across the aisle to segregation. Not us.
Not us.
Yeah. Segregation is right there in his party, which is the Democrat Party, which is the party that wanted to keep slavery going, and the party of Jim Crow, and the party of KKK.
That's right.
You know, I'm a proud Republican, and the Republican Party hasn't handled everything right on race as well. One of the things that is so refreshing about Donald Trump's, and I talk about the Republican Party of the past, great beginning with Abraham Lincoln. And I think we had some missteps which alienated the Republican Party from black voters who before that really loved being Republicans. What has Donald Trump done to rekindle that? Was it like a tactic or a strategy, or is it just who the man is?
It's who he is.
He's
real. It's who he is from day one. Yeah. He said what he wanted to do for America.
That's right.
And for Americans.
That's right.
And the one thing, he didn't leave any race out. He included everybody. I'm going to secure the border.
Yeah.
When you start securing that border, which will severely impact Black America, that means it keeps Black jobs. It keeps jobs for Black people here in this country where it's not being taken by an illegal alien.
And crime and security.
And crime. That's right.
That's right.
When he said that I want to bring back spirit, I want to bring back jobs, all of those things protect Americans and their livelihoods.
Yep.
So it wasn't about, he didn't leave anybody out. He included everybody.
And just look at his track record before he even began running for president. Look at his track record, all of the monies that he donated to the Rainbow Coalition, to the Jesse Jackson and their foundation, and the Al Sharpton and their foundation. Just look at what he did back in the day. Look at the rappers and everybody that wanted to be like,
I can say it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you had rappers, shot callers, ballers, basketball players, football players. Everybody wanted to be like Donald Trump. You name me one black man that ever wanted to be like Joe Biden. Name me one.
Just one.
None. Not only that, President Trump, since he's been president, now he has a record to run off of. Look at how much money. He just donated $1 billion to the HBCUs to help them out during this coronavirus pandemic. Think about that for a moment. When he found out that the Black America was disproportionately affected, or minorities was disproportionately affected, he's doing something about that.
That's right.
Making sure that we have what we need so we won't be disproportionately affected. Look at the crime, the prison reform that he did.
That's right.
The First Step Act, the opportunity zones. All of this here is for minorities. Building up the inner and urban cities, things that the left don't want to talk about, things that Joe Biden ain't never thought about doing. President Donald Trump done already did. Promises made, promises kept.
So you think that these polls that have been coming out, poll after poll after poll, that shows a huge spike in support from African Americans and people, other diverse populations as well. You think this is a real thing, and you think it's based on the fact that they're judging the president by his character?
Let me tell you something. Polls that show the president in a promising light, these people are looking. Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, if we drop political parties, we are Americans.
That's right.
And as an American, I don't care whether you Democrat, Republican, conservative, or liberal, you want to go back to work. You want to be able to provide for your family. The one thing our president, he had this economy booming. You had Black America coming up in the ranks.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, you have the experts walk into his office and say, we have to shut it all down. We shut it all down. Now it's time to open it back up.
That's right.
But when they see the political games that's being played with their lives and their livelihoods, Black, white, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservatives, gay, straight, they don't like it.
That's right.
They don't like it. And they look and they see what these Democrats are doing. They look and they see what these members of Congress are doing to Americans. They don't like it. And that's why they're going to be voting for President Donald J. Trump.
And that's why we have to vote red, R-E-D.
Remove every Democrat.
I love it. I love your enthusiasm. And our audience needs to know how they can get constant doses of your common sense. Am I right? You go to Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live? You can go to diamondandsilk.com. We have a new social media platform up called Chatdit, and it's CHATDIT.com.
That's right.
And you can just Google Diamond and Silk, because for some reason, the left-wing media view us as such a threat. Every major news outlet writes about us all the time.
All the time.
But remember what we said. Allegations and accusations without accurate information is fake news.
And we're also in the midst of writing our book that's due out August the 18th. Uprising. You can go get that book right now at diamondandsilkbooks.com.
That's great. I'm excited to read that book. And we love what you do. We love the fact that you just kind of did it your own way and had your own voice. And you know what, in America, that is still rewarded no matter what these socialists try to do with censorship and everything else.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
That's right.
That's right.
And they're going to censor you. But if you can't beat them, then you're going to have to join them.
That's right.
And so I want everybody to join us on Chatdit, CHATDIT.com. Join us right there. And listen, this is about freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
Listen, nobody encroaching upon our constitutional rights and being free in the land of the free, which is the United States of America.
That's right. Well, that's a great segue. We love being with you. Our CPAC family loves being with you. Thank you for joining us on CPAC Live. I hope you'll come back.
We will.
Certainly.
Awesome. And we have a very special episode on Monday, Memorial Day, a very special day for all of us, where we'll be joined by Congressman Michael Waltz to talk about his military experiences and now his new experiences in Congress and what it's like to push for the Trump agenda in Congress. Thank you all for joining us on CPAC Live. Get out there. Don't be afraid. America needs to overcome this Chinese corona. You know we will. I know we will. It's been great being with you on this show, and we'll see you again Monday.